Alright, in this video I want to complete or continue on the idea of changing the Arch and Design material for the trace depth. We've realized that we needed to change the trace depth in a scene where there were a lot of objects and a lot of materials, and it became kind of a complex task to go in each material. So in this case here, for example, I've got multiple boxes. They all have been assigned to a different material, and I've even created a special case for this box here where we've got a multi-sub-object material. So we've got all of those materials, and they have been assigned to all of the materials have been assigned to different boxes. So we've got all of those materials, and we want to change. If we grab this here, we can take a look at the refraction. The max trace depth is 6, and here we've got the max trace depth again, advanced rendering option. It's all set to 6 because we all use the default settings. So we want to change that for all of the materials, but we don't want to do it by hand. So I'm going to show you a max script technique to go and do that with the script. So I'm just going to leave that aside here so we can see the change. I'm going to go in Max Script. I'm going to create a new script, and I'm going to bring that in so we can see, like so. So first of all, we're going to go through all of the objects in the scene. So I'm going to go here and say for A in objects, and objects is a is a reserved word in Max Script. That means pretty much for all of the objects in the scene, do whatever is in the parentheses. All of the objects may have been assigned with an Arch and Design material, and they may have not been assigned with it, so it could be a different type of materials. The first thing we need to check before we can change a property that is exclusive to the Arch and Design material is it an Arch and Design material? So we're going to check that, and we're going to say if, then, and I'm going to put that in parentheses here. So we want to check if it's an architectural material. So we're going to say class of, which kind of verifies the class of the material. We're going to say a dot material if it's equal to the Arch and Design type. So basically what we're doing now is that A will represent the object, and if class of the material assigned to A, which is the current object that we're analyzing, if it's of type Arch and Design, then do whatever is in the following parentheses. But before we do that, I'm going to go here in ELP and Max Script reference, and I'm going to bring it forward so we can see a little bit. It's hard to. I'm just going to maximize this like so. Here we go. So let's go back into the Max ELP, and I'm going to type in Arch and Design, and we can see that we've got some elements here. The type of the material is this here, so we're going to copy that and use that in our function. And if we go down the properties here, one of them will be the optical refraction. That's not it here. Refraction depth. So that's what we want to. That's the property here that we want to use for the Arch and Design material. We want to set it to 0 if we want to make sure that it goes through all of the material, all of the polygons, and no matter how many you have on top of each other. So that's what we need. So I'm going to just take that aside and close the Max Help, bring that back in, and bring our script back in. So if class of material is of Arch and Design, and again, I strongly recommend that you copy that and you just paste it here. So you just say if it's equal, if it's of this type, then what we can do is just set the property to. So I'm going to say a dot material. Dot and the property that we had here, and I've just leave it on the side here. I'm just going to copy that. So that's the property that we want to have here, and only one dot. So the this property, and we wanted to set it to 0, and it's an integer, so I don't need to put a point there, just 0. So for all of the objects, if the type is of Arch and Design, it will just set the refraction depth to 0. So let's try that on all of our objects here. I'm going to go here, Tool, Evaluate All. We should not have any problems with that. So now what we're going to do, I'm going to grab the material here, the blue material. You see that it has been changed to max trace depth to 0. I'm going to maximize this so we can see. Grab this green material here, go at the bottom, say advanced rendering option. You can see that the max trace depth has been set to 0 for the refraction, and all of these here, if I go back here, again and set to 0. The only thing remaining is if the material is of a multi-sub-object. So in the case of the script here, if it's a multi-sub-object, this line is not going to get executed. So if we go inside of the material here and we go into advanced rendering option, you see that the max trace depth is still at 6. We need to take care of that. So we're going to copy that structure here in the script, and we're going to take into account that we could have some multi-sub-object material. So if class of a material is not Arch and Design, but now we're going to say multi-material, and the class of a multi is just multi-material. So I'm going to say that like this. So if it's of type multi-material, we need to go through all of the sub-material and assign that property here. So there's a property for a multi-sub-object called numSub, which is the number of sub-object material. So I'm going to go here and say for, and I'm going to create a new variable called b is equal to 1, 2. Current object is a dot material, and we know that it's a sub-object material because we've checked that. So I'm going to say numSubs do, and put that in parentheses here. I'm leaving that as is now, but we're going to change that. So for all of the objects that are inside of the submaterial, we still need to check if it's Arch and Design, because here they're all Arch and Design, but I could have a standard material there, so we don't want to. In a standard material, we don't have that property. So I'm going to go and just copy that again, that whole portion here, and we're going to paste that in and just put that inside of the bracket like so. So if class of, and again we need to check that, so I'm going to say a dot material. It's a multi-sub-object material, so we need to go a bit further inside of the material. We're going to say material list, and in bracket here, in the bracket we need to put a number, which is going to be the number or the material ID, and we're going to use b as the variable, so we're going to say b. So if the sub-object at the B position is of type Arch and Design, then we can go here and do the whole thing. So we're going to go a.material.material list, and I'm going to copy that. I'm a bit lazy, so I'm just going to go here and say copy material list, number of material, dot the property here, and is equal to 0. So now we're going to take into account also the fact that we've got multi-material. So let's just going to maximize this window here so you can take good note of what happened. So we're checking if it's of type multi-material. If it's of type multi-material, we are creating another loop here for b equal 1 to the number of material. So if we got 6, it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if the first one here, or the B represents the current number, so we're going to loop through 1 through 3, 4. So if we're at 1, it's going to say material 1. If it's our type Arch and Design, then change the property to 0. Then it's going to go to 2. B is going to be equal to 2, so it's going to be material list number 2, and so on and so forth. So we should be able to scroll through that. So I'm going to go here again, evaluate all. And if I go now inside of this material, you see that max trace depth here is set to 0. I'm going to grab the second one, take a look again, max trace depth 0, the third one, and the max trace depth should also be to 0. So that's how you could adjust. And we just took a look at one of the properties of the Arch and Design material, but you saw that in the ELP, if you go back into the reference here, and I'm just going to make it like right here, Arch and Design, it's the same idea for all of those properties. So if you want to change properties through a script, it's just a matter of going through the list here and just pick the one you want to change, and you've got the type there, and you can do a lot more than what's explained in this tip and trick. So I hope it's useful for you guys.